I'm Kale Helms, and this is Thundercast. On this episode, we will be interviewing Mr. Eric Kirkendall and Mr. Roy Bruce, Principal and Dean of Students at Eastern Green High School. So I just want to start the podcast with where did each of you grow up, and how did you get to this point at Eastern?
All right, I'll start. I grew up in Rushville, Indiana, which is about 10 miles west of Kokomo, Indiana. And so went after graduating high school, went to Purdue University for 4 years, and then moved out to Arizona. And my plan was always to be there for a couple of years and move back or move someplace else. And I ended up liking it so much that I ended up staying for 12 years. So what brought me back is my wife and myself have all of our family in Indiana, and eventually we want to start a family and that type of thing. And so we want to be close to family. So yeah, that's kind of why we're here. And I chose Southern Indiana more because Northern Indiana kind of lacks some personality. So it's very flat. And I've always had an affinity for Southern Indiana. So
Yeah, so what was it like moving? I mean, how many miles is Arizona from Indiana?
it's a 27-hour drive. I think 18,000 miles. Yeah.
Yeah, so big move.
Yes.
Different climate zones, really.
Yes. I am struggling with the humidity. I remember the humidity as growing up.
Hadn't even been bad yet.
I know. And the state bird, the mosquito. But I mean, it's been a rush. I've really enjoyed it. So
Yeah. So you can tell us about you, Mr. Bruce?
Yeah, I was born and raised Bloomington, Indiana. Graduated from Bloomington North in '98, and then went to IU. Graduated from IU, the better school, of course, than Purdue, and taught and coached 10 years at Bedford North Lawrence. And then this opportunity came open. Moved over here. My wife came with me. She's a math teacher here at the high school. And then I have my two daughters, Elizabeth and Isabel, who are fourth and second graders at the elementary school here.
So, I mean, you've been here your whole life, right? You've just been in this area.
Yeah.
So how do you think that's affected you being in the same community for all these years?
I think it really helps to connect because I come here and it's a really small world because you'll meet somebody and they're friends with somebody you grew up with, or, like my assistant coaches know people here in the administration office up here, and I know some of the kids, and I'm seeing some of the people I went to school with, some of their kids are going to school here. So it just shows how small a world this is, even though we are 20 miles down the road from where we grew up.
Mm-hmm. So what is it like for the both of you acclimating to this new school climate?
Well, for me, it's different. The school I come from was 1,600 kids right down the road here. I walk through the hallways here, and it's kind of, even still 2 weeks in, wonder where are all the kids at? Because, you go from 1,600 to 330. There's just not very many. And then every time you turn around, it's the same kid you're looking at again. You don't really see a lot of different faces, So you're always kind of seeing the same kids. So you get to know them real quick here. It's been that way through the sports and through just walking the hallways here.
the district that I served in Tucson had 17,000 students. And so it certainly lacked a personal touch. And so I've really tried to focus on that through the past couple weeks, getting to know students, getting to know teachers, and really kind of build those relationships. It's not lost on me that I'm the outsider. So I really want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm here for them.
And it's wild that you meet all these new people and you're around all these new people, and it's not just like I see you every once in a while. There's like 15 kids in a class, so you get to know each student really well,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the hallways are sparse sometimes.
That's
and
exactly
so
right,
so
yeah.
you do see the same kids over and over.
Yeah, I'm used to coming. Each class at Bedford averaged between 32 to 35 kids, and that's 6 of them a day. And they changed again at this semester. And I was going through a lot of kids down here, and that's not even the entire school here. So
Nope.
It's definitely different.
So, Mr. Kirkendall, I want to know what inspired you to come up with your SOAR motto that you introduced almost the first day.
Yeah, so in speaking with the front office staff, they had said that every principal has had some type of motto or something that they used in finishing letters and things of that nature. So I came up with SOAR because it really encompasses everything that I would like a Thunderbird to be when they graduate. And so I want them to show up, be in the moment, and have a good attitude, and own their actions, and be responsible, and really achieve. So when I kind of put all that out SOAR just kind of seemed to pop into my head.
And I think it really helps encompass all students. And I don't know, it's kind of, I've heard jokes about it, you know, in the hallways, but then also people take it seriously. Like, it's a good motto to, like, be proud of our little community we have here. And
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm a pretty laid back guy, so I do enjoy some of the jokes because it can be funny, but that's something that every student here can do. Every student here can be a better version of themselves. They just have to apply themselves and really make sure that they put their best foot forward in every situation that they come across. Not every day is rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes you have to meet Mr. Bruce and then what, right? So both Mr. Bruce and I realize that students are going to make mistakes. And so that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you're human, just like all the rest of us, and you need to try again. So I really wanted to really message that resiliency to the students.
yeah, and I think a lot of the students even appreciate that. You come in and every day's a new day. I know Mr. Bruce talked about that on day one too, that you don't need to hold grudges here at the school. People change, and I don't know, sometimes you're just having a crappy day, you know, and it just gets better.
Yeah, and that's important, I think, with both of us coming in, is that we don't know you guys. So we're learning you just like you're learning us right now. So it's kind of a clean slate for you guys. So if you had a bad past, we don't really know that. So coming in, you know, to us, you're just a normal kid going through everyday life. And if we don't see you in the office, we don't know about your past. But when we do, you know, we're obviously trying to help you get better. We're not just there to punish you and yell at you and, you know, put you in ATS. We're there to construct a plan to get you to where you can graduate and be successful in life.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. In fact, one of the things that we've really talked about was intervening in situations prior to it becoming a discipline incident and really helping students learn how the correct way to handle difficult situations should be. So that's something that both of us kind of value, because there's no guidebook for being an adult or being a teenager. It's trial and error. And so you kind of have to have that open mind, and you really need to make sure that you're ready for the moment and ready for the opportunities that are presented to you.
Okay, so moving on, I want to know how the both of you feel on the extracurriculars here at Eastern Green. Mr. Bruce, I know you're the football coach, and Mr. Kirkendall, you were at our marching band state fair. That was
Absolutely.
a good little introduction to you. To see you there.
I personally I growing up, I was in sports all the time, 4-season athlete. And so I recognize just how important the sports are, but there's a huge percentage of our students that aren't involved in sports. They have other interests, and so it's equally important to support them in their ventures and making sure that they recognize that they're part of the school too. You know, with sports, it's you have competitions, and the community comes out and sees their competitions. So when you have an art club or a robotics club or something of that nature that's not as public, trying to find ways to showcase those skills and the students with those skills is incredibly important.
I think that's exactly right, because a lot of those club kids, they don't get seen out. You know, they don't get to play on Friday nights in front of, you know, 1,000 or so people out there. You know, they're in front of maybe their parents or maybe just their friends there. So for people to recognize them and all the hard work they put in, the hours, the labor they're putting in these clubs and different activities, that's important. And I think, you know, having the right people in place to lead those, which I think we do here, along with athletics. I know there's some newer coaches that have came in just in the last couple of years. And I know in the past there's been some kids that have had bad experiences playing and participating in the sports, athletics, or even in clubs and events. And hopefully they realize with this new change, you know, come back out and give it a try again. You only got 4 years here in high school. You can never do it again. So come out and give it a chance, because there's a lot of kids walking the hallways. I keep hearing, well, I'm going to try it next year. I'm going to try it next year. Well, next year is just another year that you're wasting this year for. So come out, give it a chance. You know, come out, meet new people. It really gets you involved, really helps your grades. You know, we hold all the sports here hold you accountable, always checking your grades, always make sure that, you know, it kind of puts you in the right path forward. And it prepares you a lot for life.
Yeah, and I know we've had a lot of the changing in staff for all of our different sports. Like we have a brand new football coach and you, Mr. Bruce, and we have a brand new basketball coach and Mr. Hudson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you noticed about like the students' attitudes towards these new coaches? Because it's such a change. I mean, you spend so much time with them and everything.
For me, it's been great. Since day one, I always tell everybody, my first 2 weeks here, I've met more people than I did in my 10 years in Bedford. Kids coming in, kids want to work hard here, which, past experience I've had in coaching, you got to kind of, dictate your practice around who's going to show up, who's not going to show up. Are they going to be on weight? Are they going to do extra running? Are they coming in a bad mood? Kids here don't do that. They want to work hard. I think that reflects a lot on their families and kind of how they were raised. They're raised in a good blue-collar community here that wants to work hard. And so when they show up, they're there. They don't really miss days. Even now that we start at school, the kids are coming to school. We got a really good attendance rate right now, and that shows in the athletes on the field too. So it's been really accepting. I know Coach Hudson said the same thing. He's had a lot of kids to his summer workouts also, and I think everything's going forward well.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, having been a former coach, I totally see how the work ethic here is absolutely amazing. You don't have the prima donnas and so forth. Everyone is ready to do the work that they need to do, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and what I've noticed is maybe every once in a while there is that prima donna, but they get the help they need here. I always notice that because people are acting out, they're not getting pushed to the side, they're getting put in the spotlight where they need whatever help they need.
Yeah, and one of the things I've kind of noticed, especially with Coach Bruce's football team, is that they take care of each other. The team it's a true team, where if you have someone who isn't pulling their weight, the team encourages them and lets them know, hey, I'll help you. So there's certainly that healthy aspect there, but yeah, no, it's been an awesome experience watching this football team grow, the volleyball team grow. I mean, we have amazing athletes here.
So this is more of a broad question, but what are some characteristics you've noticed that make Eastern a more unique school?
I think the work ethic of the kids. You don't have the kids that just don't want to do anything, that are really defiant to the teachers, really defiant to administration. Even the kids that they label the bad kids aren't even close to where I've been before. These kids, you can sit down, you can talk to the kids, you can work through with the kids, you can reach them on a personal level, and then they start to understand. And you don't have the kids that basically want to fail here. You have the kids that want to succeed, and you can talk to them and make them understand, to be better at life. And when you graduate high school, and when you move on, when you have a family, learning things here at the school, are going to help you. And like I said, it's just the overall work ethic of the kids is just amazing here. And it's been a shock to my system coming from a place where it's nowhere close to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think even the students could notice that day one you guys came in here trying, not really a scare tactic, but just showing that you guys have authority, which is, I respect that. And it was easy to tell that you guys have been at bigger schools, I think even for the students, because nothing bad's ever happened here. We don't really experience the bad things, and I think you guys have done a great job of making sure that the bad things never happen, and just, I don't know, I really appreciate our school environment that you guys have already created for us. I know even the students were coming into school like leery of the new dean of students, new principal, and I mean, we don't really have a superintendent right now, and I just want you guys to know that even the students really appreciate what you guys have done, leaps and strides already.
I mean, that's certainly not lost on us. We recognize that, that type of controversy impacts the students as well. And so for myself, of course, yes, I want to make sure that students recognize that there's an authority there. My first priority will always be safety and making sure that students are safe and that students are learning. But the one thing that I don't want lost is the fact that high school should be fun. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that I really appreciate about Mr. Bruce Mr. Buskirk and Miss Willie, is that we all have a goal to make your experience here at Eastern Green a memorable one. One of the things that I've really kind of been startled with is the school spirit. It seems it has kind of tapered down, and so I want to bring that back. The Flock Pep Club was absolutely fantastic at the volleyball game the other night. They were smaller at the football game. I would love for them to take up an entire section. We have the numbers. We can do it, you know. They were a riot at the volleyball game. I enjoyed watching them almost as much as I enjoyed watching the girls rip up on Lighthouse Academy. I mean, it was a great time. So, and really, I'm all about showing my appreciation. And so I do have plans to do that with the students as well. I've started to kind of introduce that with the staff, kind of doing like a staff appreciation every month. I also want to do that with the students as well. It's totally easy to do. You just got to find the forum to do that in. And so, absolutely. High school, when I think of high school, it was a blast.
Yeah,
I enjoyed myself. So I want to make sure that I'm able to do that, give that to my students too.
Yeah, 100% agree on that. I think getting the attendance up to everything, anything in the sports, and it's not just the what they call the bigger sports with the football and basketball, but like the volleyball experience there tonight. A lot of kids don't realize what it's like to go watch these activities, and once they go watch it, like, this is fun. I've been missing out on this, and you can be loud at volleyball games. You can scream, you can yell, and it's all kind of fun trying to keep track of the ball flying around. And not only that, going to girls' basketball games, going to cross-country meets, yelling for your teammates as they run by, and even not teammates, just classmates and schoolmates, and seeing them, participate in that, and then come back to school and asking your buddies how they did on the weekend with their clubs or other activities that they did. That's big for those kids to hear that when they walk down the hallways or hear it on the announcements, how they did and stuff like that. And I think anything we can do to build the school spirit and get more kids out there makes this a better learning experience when you're in the classroom, because you want to be here and you want to participate.
Yeah, and I know that back a few years ago when we had our big basketball run, it just seemed like the whole gym was full, and maybe that was because I was younger, but it just seemed that everyone showed up, and I think that did taper off a little bit in the last few years. And I know when we had our big state run for football, I mean, people didn't show up to the first few games because they didn't realize how good we were. But then finally we introduced that, dang, we're actually kicking butt out here, and then exactly right. And then people started coming, and I think it'd be better if we just had people showing up in the first place, And so I think it is very important that we work to get better attendance at our games and stuff.
Absolutely. And our enrollment is down right now. Normally we sit around 360, 370. And we had a smaller freshman class. And so one of the things that I'm really encouraging others to do is to get Eastern Green on social media. Have it reach Bloomington, have it reach Linton. I want students from other school districts being like, wow, what are they doing? What are they doing over there in Eastern Green? Because that looks pretty cool. I want to be a part of that. And I think that we'll see that our influence is much greater than what we've experienced in the past.
So introduce this next topic. How do you think the staff at EG might differ from other larger schools or other schools that you've been to?
I think the biggest thing I've seen is that everybody knows each other here, and it seems like I keep repeating myself there, but with this small school mentality, with bigger schools, you're kind of put into sections. There's several different hallways. There's different levels of the school. Here, there's 2 hallways, so all the teachers run into each other all the time. So they see each other. Their families have grown up together. They've grown up together. They went through school here together. So everybody knows everybody. There's not that teacher down at the other end or the department down at the other end that you never see. Everybody comes by the office. Everybody knows the administrative team. I was in a position down at Bedford where I could walk in the back door of my classroom. I was 10 foot from my truck. I just get out and leave. I I could go months without seeing anybody. And here, you can't go 5 minutes without seeing another teacher, talking to them. You see their kids ride the bus over here, get off the bus, their kids come in, so you're watching their kids grow up. It's just that big family atmosphere here with all the teachers here in the school.
For me, it is the dedication. We have more AP and dual credit offerings at this school than I had at the high school in Tucson that had 2,300 students. I mean, that dedication to education and going and getting those additional certifications and the credits to do dual credit and AP classes is amazing. And that really speaks to the dedication and the intellectual pursuit that our teachers have that you are not going to see anywhere else. And part of that's done by design. I mean, with being a smaller school, we certainly want to make sure that our students are able to be offered several different routes in their high school career. And so by providing those options, the teachers are oftentimes doubling up, tripling up on different preps. Whereas in a larger school, a teacher could teach the same subject all day long and not differentiate. And so, the dedication of our staff is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of funny. You'll see like the teacher's little thing outside their door, and it'll say what subjects they teach, and it's like full, like you
it's
can't
like a
fit
paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So that was certainly one of the draws for me, and that was instant recognition or instant thing that I saw right away was that wow, there is not a single teacher here that doesn't teach multiple subjects. So yeah, that's pretty amazing.
And it's really funny to me that a lot of the teachers here like went to school here, and I know Mrs. Shields, who sadly left us last year, and Mr. Hutchison like had some of the other teachers, and now they're working alongside him. So it's crazy how the community like overlaps,
I was actually down in the cafeteria earlier today, just kind of watching lunches, and happened to see Andy Hutcherson on the baseball placards on the wall. I was like, gosh dang, that's that's pretty funny. He's still skinny.
So I've been at Eastern since I was born. My mom works in the central office, and she used to work in the middle school office. And we've never had such a focus on safety on campus. And it's reassuring in some ways, but then it's also like, oh man, I can't take my backpack to 7th period.
Right.
Which I understand the focus behind that, but I just wanted to hear your guys' feelings on how the safety here has changed and how we've taken bigger strides towards making a more safe environment for students.
Well, I just think that, with all the mass shootings that have taken place, none of those school sites thought that it could have been them. And sadly, there was a day in which it was. And they weren't necessarily prepared in every instance. And so I think the safety precautions that we've taken are just that little more assurance that we are prepared and really kind of vigilant in making sure that everyone's safe. I want to go home to my wife just as much as Mr. Bruce wants to go home to his family, and just as much as you want to go home to your mom. And so it's really important that everyone does their part. And for the backpacks, 10 years ago it wouldn't have been an issue, but sadly it's become one of those things where I don't want to check everyone's backpack. I don't want to bring that type of that feeling or atmosphere to the school. And so it's just better to leave them in their lockers, and I'll hold the buses for you if you need a little bit of time. That's perfectly fine. I want to make sure everyone goes home safe to their families.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's nice. When I'm coming here, I like the way we funnel people into the school and the procedures we use to get people into school here. It's nice having the SRO up here with us and being such a smaller building here. The SRO, when he's here, he can be anywhere almost instantly here. So it's nice having that. We're always out in the hallways, walking around the hallways. Make sure that everything is safe for you guys. So that's our most important priority here, is to make sure that everybody goes home safe at the end of the day.
So we've talked so much about the people here at Eastern, but how do you think the community at Eastern Green is different from maybe a larger school?
Everybody knows everybody.
Yep.
And
Exactly right.
prior to the football game, my wife and I went and ate dinner over in Bloomfield, and it was really nice, just kind of strike up some conversations with some of the people there. We ate at Lenny's Pizza, and it was just amazing how ingrained into the community they were, and just how willing they were to welcome people. So it's very welcoming down here.
Yeah,
I love it.
100% agree. Just being that, it just has that small town feel to it. I know it is small town, but sometimes you go to those places and it's not really that way. But like I said, everybody knows everybody here. I think everybody's related to everybody some way or another. Because that's my cousin, that's my brother. It's crazy how close of a community this is down here, which is a great thing. Because we're all there to support each other that way too.
Yeah, and I think it's really awesome that Friday nights at Casa Sevilla in Bloomfield, I mean, you see everybody. I mean,
Yeah.
you go in there to eat dinner, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I forgot about you, you know? And you'll go into Sammy's Pancake House, and you'll just see everybody you know. It's just a really good feeling of, we all know that guy, It's just everybody's connected.
Man, and it makes
good
you feel safe and secure too when you walk around the
Absolutely,
place.
Yeah, great sense of community.
Yeah.
And support.
So I want to know, coming in, what were you expecting from Eastern, and how have your views maybe changed already, even though you've been here for such a short time,
I think that I was expecting. I think I was expecting to be more nervous. I think that I was expecting to have more discipline problems, more problems with vaping.
Sure.
The student body is so respectful. It's really quite amazing. Even in the language that they use, it was certainly kind of a shock for me, because I was in inner city Tucson, which the respect factor wasn't there. Even if I'm disciplining a student, they remain respectful. I've not had a bad experience with any of the students, even the ones that I've had to discipline due to, whether it be vaping or tardies or whatever it might be. So it's been a good experience.
Yeah, and my situation was a little different, being hired in as football coach first, and the controversy, right or wrong, that came before that. I was getting all the horror text messages about how bad of a place this was, and what are you thinking taking this job? And I couldn't imagine myself not being here. This is the greatest job I've had in my 39 years of life. I mean, I love every second of being here. The community's been great, been accepting. Haven't heard one negative thing yet. The kids, I go back to work hard, but they work hard, and that's a big thing to me. I have high expectations, not only for my football players, but just for the kids in the school. And it's been super accepting here. And like I said, I came in a little nervous. I'm hearing all these horror stories about how you're gonna make it 2 weeks there, and they're gonna fire you, and I think everything's going great so far. And like I said, I wouldn't change it for the world right now. If I would, I wouldn't have brought my kids and family over here. So it's been great.
So just a final topic here. How do you guys feel about the education here at Eastern Green?
I think it's outstanding.
I do too. We have great teachers here.
The data doesn't lie. I mean, our scores are some of the best. And so I really appreciate the efforts that the students put in, and that the teachers put in, because I'm a former teacher. I taught world history and geography and U.S. history, and it's a relationship in that classroom. And so right away I can tell that our students care about our teachers, and that our teachers care about our students, and that they have built a really strong relationship. And with the scores, like for instance, the English scores last year were pretty good. We wanted to see better math scores, but obviously with math, that's always kind of tricky. So the great thing about our math teachers, though, was like right away they huddled up. They got together at the very beginning of this year, and they were like, this isn't acceptable. We're going to go back to the drawing board and see where it is that our students weren't prepared, and we'll tackle it. And so it's that type of, again, dedication to the craft and to your students, you don't see everywhere.
Yeah, and being married to one of the math teachers, I see it every night, how much she works at home and how much, she's corresponding with her colleagues and stuff to make sure that they are getting to where they need to be, or at least pushing the students in the right direction to get where they are. But yeah, I basically ditto everything he says there, with our dual credit classes and everything we offer. Academics are outstanding here.
Yeah, and I can't help but thank the teachers all the time just for some of these classes. You really are just preparing for the test at the end, and then these teachers do such a great job of preparing you, and these tests aren't easy. And I took biology last year, and it was the easiest class I ever took. And then you get to this test at the end of the year, and you feel prepared, and it's just so difficult, It really was. And it's, we're changing from iStep to the new
I Learn,
yeah. It's nerve-wracking, kind of.
Of course.
And I didn't have to take iStep or anything last year as a freshman, but, it's not easy for everybody, and I'm blessed to do better in school, but it's we got to have those people who really pertain to those kids.
One of the things that as the year progresses, Miss Willie and myself are going to be working on is really introducing to the students some of the different pathways. You're going to start hearing about pathways more and more, and these pathways really work with our CTE classes like industrial tech and culinary. So those type of classes, we really want to continue building those programs to where we can have a so-called pathway to graduation, because everyone here recognizes that not all students do well on tests, and that while tests are important, it should not be the only measure of a student's worth. And so having some of those CTE classes where it's hands-on and you are building skills provides a different pathway for the students to have a career and be successful. I will always encourage students to go to college, but my dad's a perfect example. He went to Purdue, did an ag econ major, came back home, did some of the farming, and there was a period in time in which farming was not profitable. And so he had to put food on the table. He had to change careers. And so he became a pipe fitter. And that's how he supported my mom and me and my sister, and so pipe fitting is one of those trades that you don't really think about outside of if you don't know what it is. You think of carpenters and you think of plumbers and that type of thing, but pipe fitting, like what exactly is that, And so I appreciate us having like AutoCAD classes and engineering classes and things of that nature that will bring those additional skills to the students earlier, because my dad says it all the time that they cannot find enough people willing to fill the job market they need. So it's truly amazing. And so, of course, college, but also you have skilled trades, you have the military. There are several options for students, and not all of them require you to be the best test taker. We certainly want you to try your best, but I recognize that there are students out there that do better with their hands, or who want to go into the military. We really want to just make sure that we prepare students for whatever dreams that they have for their adult life.
Yeah, and I think that's really changed even from my course going through school. When I was younger, it just seemed like everybody's going to go to college. Everybody, they always tried to push that down your throat that everyone is supposed to go to college, and I think they do that to get that in your mind and know that you can go do whatever you want. And they always tell you you do whatever you want, but there needs to be people out there that are pipe fitters, that are carpenters,
right,
that are blue collar, and I think that's really a part of our community here.
I would say the one thing that is still true today is that if you just stop with a high school education, you're going to have trouble providing for yourself. That has been the really the only thing that has remained true. And so, really kind of encouraging students to figure out what they want to do and then create a plan to see it through.
Okay, just to wrap it up here, is there anything you guys would like to add?
Just want to say how happy and excited we are to be here at Eastern Green. I know we both feel that way. It's been a big change in our lives for both of us, with him coming as far as he was from Arizona, and just the move for my family. And my wife was not teaching until this year. She had took about 10 years off. They were kind of raising the kids. We were running our own business, stuff like that at home. And now to be committed here in this community, you know, we're going to be here for a long time. My kids got a while till they graduate, and I'm not going anywhere until that's over and I retire. So I'm excited to be part of this community and be here for a long time.
Absolutely. I'm very thrilled to be here. Hopefully people recognize that I'm dedicated to the community. Not having the background that Mr. Bruce does of being in this area, everyone's been incredibly welcoming, and I greatly appreciate everyone's support, and I will do my absolute best to make sure that that I do you guys proud.
Yeah, and we're all very, very thankful for the addition of you guys on our staff and in our community.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Thundercast. Please tune in for our next episode coming very soon. If you have any suggestions or comments, please email us at thundercast@egreen.k12.in.us. You can subscribe to hear every episode of Thundercast on iTunes, Google Play Music, and Podbean. All content in this podcast is property of Eastern Green School Corporation and may not be used without express written permission. All rights reserved.